Hey friends, today's guest is Sonny Sandoval, lead vocalist for the San Diego, California rock band P.O.D. Together, we dive headfirst into the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the mega smash hit, Youth of the Nation, taken from their 2001 album, Satellite. Sonny was a real pleasure to talk to. Having never met before, we instantly bonded through war stories of mutual producer Howard Benson. While Howard's fingerprints are all over this production, it is still 100% P.O.D, as illustrated by Sonny's lyrics. The inspiration, which is a painful one, addressing the tragedy of the Columbine school shootings. And ironically and unfortunately, this lyric is more relevant now, 23 years later. And while the verse lyrics clearly discuss a tragedy, the chorus hook delivers a huge promise and message of hope. From the very start of the track to the very end, the song just keeps building and never lets up. And the children's choir is the proverbial icing on the cake. The track is already amazing, but when those kids come in, it sends things into the stratosphere. Super moving. So for all this, Oreo cookies, black sweatpants, and a Philadelphia Eagles jersey, don't you dare go anywhere.
Hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast.
Sonny, what's up, my friend?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I am good. You are sitting in a Harley factory.
Yeah. San Diego Harley Davidson, yes, sir.
Do you work there part
wish.
time? Do you rehearse there? What do you do? Are you just hanging out and decided to take the interview right now at the Harley shop?
Yeah, no, this is a big Harley Davidson dealership, and we've had one of the rooms in the back. You know, we've soundproofed it. It's been our rehearsal spot for about 10 years now, and they've always been good to us. Harley's been good to us. They actually gave us our first bikes back in the day, and so. Yeah, it's kind of the cool factor. I mean, this is like a special dealership. They have, a tattoo spot. They have a barber. You know what I mean? It's a big deal over here.
You're freaking me out. I've never heard of a band rehearsing in a Harley Davidson dealership. This is awesome.
We got lucky, man.
This is awesome. I am excited, Sonny. We got a lot of things in common through a mutual producer that we've shared that produced the song we're going to talk about today, Youth of the Nation, which is Mr. Howard Benson. Howard loves his Oreo cookies, his black sweatpants, and his Philadelphia Eagle jerseys, as we both know.
That's right. His sweatpants. That's hilarious.
I want to ask you, let's go back to the record before Satellite, which Youth of the Nation was on Satellite, came out in 2001, but 1999, The Fundamental Elements of Southtown, that was your first record with Howard. How did you meet him? Did you guys do anything on Dr. Dream Records with him? Were you a developing act? No. Okay.
Yeah. No, we had done stuff independent for our first 7-8 years.
Yeah.
So when we finally signed to Atlantic Records, it was like, okay, now we actually get a producer. And we had actually spoke with Ed Stasium first. And, he did like Living Color. Oh, man. Yeah. He did a bunch of bands back in the day.
Ramones?
Yeah, Ramones. And we loved him, right? He's a sweetheart. But then right at that time, Howard approached us. And he had done at that point like Motorhead. I think he did like some Ice-T stuff, Body Count. But Pro Tools was just on the precipice, right? It was just like nobody even knew what it was. And so he said, hey, we already decided at Stasium, to be honest. And then he said, take the meeting with me. And so he basically kind of described what Pro Tools was to us.
Yeah.
And you know how it is back then with technology, like, dude, this is lame. And you know what I mean? Not that it's lame. It's just like, this is cheating, or, it's not old school, it's not punk rock. And he basically convinced us, said, dude, this is the future. He said, if anything, he's like, we'll still record on analog, because at that time it was all computers. We're like, we're not going to record on a computer, bro. It wasn't punk rock, So he said, we'll record everything analog, old school style, but I'll run it all through Pro Tools on computer. So we gave him a shot. And then once he, the whole recording process, we figured out how it went. By the time we hit Satellite, dude, we were like, no need. We just go straight into Pro Tools. That's just the wave of the future.
That's the way you make records. Yeah. Well, about a year prior to this, in 1998, Less Than Jake, my band, cut a record with Howard called Hello Rockview. We were the first Pro Tools record that he did.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
And some of the listeners here probably have heard me talk about this before, but these are the days when he would call the 800 number for Pro Tools and someone would answer the phone like, "Hi, John, Pro Tools." Like, it was in that infancy of a stage of a company.
Oh yeah, it was still unknown, man. I mean, he had to explain it to us. We're just like, we knew, like, oh, okay, he's a music guy, but he's just a computer geek, But he made it happen.
Well, you guys formed in '92, and you, as you said a moment ago, you had a couple of independent records, 2 full-length albums, and a live record, and then you signed to Atlantic. And I just didn't know if there was somewhere in between there you did demos with Howard or how you were introduced to him. But it's interesting because Ed Stasium is a really different type of producer than Howard, and I kind of wonder what your sound would have been with Ed.
You never know, you know what I mean? But I guess it was meant to be. And so, Howard is just very clean, and we only had a certain budget at that point, but then as you do more records, you realize the budget, you start to understand the capabilities that they had, but it was still fresh and new back then. So it was a cool time right there.
Absolutely. Well, it was your 4th studio album, and Satellite was released September 2001. The album debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200 with over 133,000 copies sold. Like, I mean, you can't really do that anymore unless you're maybe Taylor Swift or something. That's amazing. It spent 5 consecutive weeks in the top 10 of that chart. The album's first single, Alive, huge hit. MTV staple. I mean, you guys really, that was the song to me. I mean, you had Southtown and Rock the Party on the previous record, but man, Alive hit. And then the second single, of course, Youth of the Nation, followed by Boom and Satellite as well. And you've released 7 albums since, the most recent, Veritas, which is out now. And we're going to talk about that and the new single a little bit later. But if you could take us back to Youth of the Nation, because this is a really different track for you, a song that is at about 250 million YouTube plays on the video. That's incredible. Wow, congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. I mean, for us, we've always flirted with different styles, and and we have a lot of different spices in our recipes, but with Youth, it was organic. I mean, we had been involved just on touring independently. Like when Columbine and stuff happened, I remember we were on an independent tour, and the kids of that community ended up throwing like a benefit show and a healing show, and somehow we ended up doing it. You know what I mean? And so we've always kind of been. It was always just there in front of us. And then when we were actually writing for Satellite, we were in Santee, right down the block, a few blocks from Santana High School, where the shooting happened. And so Howard was actually with us. We were just writing, goofing around, trying to put some stuff together. And we took a little walk to 7-Eleven with Howard and, get some coffee and kind of talk about the day flow. And then all of a sudden we see, ambulance and fire trucks and cops and helicopters. And we're like, what the heck is going on? And this is the days before cell phones, you know what I mean? And smartphones and all this stuff. So we had to run back to the studio, throw on the news, check out the news. And all of a sudden, live on the news, it's saying that there's an active shooter at Santana High School. And so we're kind of watching as everything's unfolding. And so we spent all that morning just kind of in this lull, but here we are. We have to write a record. So it just got us talking about, what's going on with our young kids. And I mean, we were kids ourselves at the time, with little kids. And we just started right there. It was kind of like, we need to write a song about the youth. And I think Marcos even said, the youth of this nation. Every old school punk song or hardcore, they always have youth in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just that word, but we're like, this is serious though, And so Marcos just started messing around, and he came up with the riff, and Wub just started messing around with the drums, and it was like, okay, we're on to something. It had that feeling, but it really was just created by that moment.
I love that. And you never know when inspiration's going to hit you. And it seems like Howard's right there with you when you're constructing this thing. And I got to say, and this is, I'm not taking anything away from the rest of the tunes in your catalog, but this song, when I remember hearing this, it was like, wow, This really
Yeah,
separated you, like for the intro, for instance, I'm going to say your name and refer to you guys as, from San Diego as a rock band, P.O.D. I'm not going to say new metal or alternative metal. It's, and I think prior to this record, maybe the case could have been made for one of those tags, but you became a rock band with this song. In my opinion, it still sounded like you guys, but wow. And look at the audience it reached.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that song is an anthem, you know what I mean? And everywhere we go, we go around the world and people are singing that song. It just, I guess the content and just, the entire vibe and feeling of the song, it just really resonated with people. We've always been a fun band, but we always, we've touched on serious topics. We're a band of faith, so we always want to bring that love and hope and encouragement. And this was one of those ways to do that, and just ask the question, what the heck's going on, in our world, and what is the answer? What is the solution? So at that time, it just resonated with people. And not to mention that you just said our album released on 9/11, Alive was already number one on TRL, and it was even, I want to say it was number one at rock radio. So at the time when 9/11 happens, here's this band P.O.D, which has a song saying, I feel so alive, and yet our country and the world is going through this tragedy.
I wasn't going to say anything. Earlier I said it was in September 2001, but you brought it up.
Yeah.
It was 9/11, and I remember Jimmy Eat World changing the name of their album, Bleed American, to just self-titled, because there was, it was such a raw new thing that happened. But I want to jump into this track, and before we do, I got to ask you, I really feel like this is a standout track and a special song from your band. When you heard the record back, all 15 tracks, Youth of the Nation's track 4 out of 15. When you heard the album back, you're listening to it probably then in your CD Walkman, and you're listening to the mixes. And who mixed this record? I'm going to say Chris or Algie or Tom.
The dream team. Yeah, no, Chris.
Okay.
Him and Howard. Yeah.
So you're starting to get these. Geez, back then they would have been FedExed overnight CDs to each band member. Think of the money. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
And now you're walking your dog, and you hear the first mix, or you hear the final mix come through a Youth of the Nation. Do you remember what you felt like?
We knew, actually, with that record, we had the budget, so we knew that Chris would be mixing the entire record. What Chris is capable of, and it's just clean. But we also knew the work that we put into that. We knew what that song felt like, what it meant. So when we have the big symphony drums, we brought in the kids chorus. Like, we knew that there was something to this song, and so we really took time in building it. And I think Chris captured that. He knew what he was working with. We all kind of just had this feeling and knew. And then when we heard it, it was everything we wanted. We wanted those drums to kind of just pound, get your heart pounding. You know what I mean? We wanted that guitar riff to take you on an emotional roller coaster. And then we knew lyrically it was going to make its point, and so it gets there. It tells a story, and I like telling stories in my lyrics.
What was the reaction like your buddies, the guys that aren't going to BS you, that knew you from '94 when you released Snuff the Punk? Okay. They had to go, oh my gosh, what is this?
Yeah, because they were around the independent days when we were recording on 4-track, you know what I mean? So to hear something so big and so massive, I think everybody knew it was like, we just kept going up new levels because we were learning. We were just learning as we were trying new stuff. I'm trying to sing more. We had more for production, and everybody knew this song is big, man.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that singing, because I'm going to tell you something. I heard a rapper. I heard a lot of rapping, and the way your flow is. I'm calling it rapping.
Yeah.
On your albums, and you still do it. But there's some singing going on here. And I've said this before. I talked to Jacoby recently from Papa Roach, people that have worked with Howard. It's like, I know when I heard my record back and he fixed everything and put it in time and tune, I went, oh boy, I need to up my game right now, because I'm not hitting the stage, and it's like getting pants at the class play. Not happening to this guy.
Right.
I need to figure out how to sing this stuff, and kudos to you, man. I can really hear that in this track. It is 4 minutes and 19 seconds, as I mentioned before. It's track 4 of 15 on the record. The intro's 13 seconds of of what I'm calling foreshadowing of these
Yeah,
kids. Okay, you don't know it at the top of the song, what you're getting with the children playing, laughing, and squealing here at the top. Lots of reverb. Sounds like the hallways of a school, followed by 8 bars of delayed bass. Killer tone. Bass guitar and guitar. The tones here are just so awesome and different. You know, you didn't really hear, obviously at this time, lots of crazy tones, late 90s, early 2000s, but I hadn't heard anything put down that sounded like this. It's very, very cool. The children are still heard on the back half. We get another 8 bars and we hear some cymbal flourishes, and a second or two before the 8 bars happens, we get a snare roll that takes us into the back half. There's a sequencer here on this back half that sounds like, what is this called, Sonny? It's like keys or wind chimes. What is that?
That's the Howard magic, because even on this record, you know, with Howard, we had to not let him, but it was like, okay, we're stepping it up. We're singing a little bit more. There's a lot more production going on. And we had to kind of trust him. And we never gave Howard the go-ahead. It's almost like he would come in after we lay everything, and you know this, and he would sneak stuff in. But because of us on that first record, it was like, nah, that's not, it's not punk rock. It's not hardcore. It's too polished. But then here we were on this record where we allowed him to do that stuff. And then every time we'd come back to the studio, he'd say, listen to what I did. And, and there's a lot of things that we said, nah, dude, that's too much. Or because we also knew we probably can't duplicate that live. We don't have a keyboard player. So there's a lot of stuff that we X'd out, but then there was a lot of things that were so tastefully done that we left it in there. And that was a lot of Howard just having fun with it.
Well, and remember, 2001, it wasn't anywhere near as commonplace as it is now to run tracks as a band. I mean, it was more electronica, more dance. I mean, yeah, rock bands were doing it, but not how they're doing it now. And Howard and his keyboard, his synthesizer, it's hilarious. It's like, who let the old guy in here? And to your point, he'll be like, check this out. And a lot of times it's great. And other times it's like, man, you're taking it a little too far here, buddy.
Yeah, that's way too much going on back there, dude.
Well, we're just gonna call it the sequencer, okay? That specific sound's called the sequencer, Sonny. And that continues over an awesome tom drum groove. That tom groove, man, that's like a hook. That is a hook a lot of times I say on the show, my listeners will hear me say that the hook has to be a vocal hook or a chorus, and no, it doesn't. It can be something like this drum part, which is awesome. That groove is great. Bass and the guitars now take us into verse 1, and this whole intro is the chorus progression of the song.
Last day of the rest of my life, I wish I would've known, cause I didn't kiss my mama goodbye. I didn't tell her that I loved her, how much I cared. I thank my pops for all the talks and all the wisdom he shared. Unaware, I just did what I always do. Every day the same routine before I skate off to school. But who knew that this day wasn't like the rest? Instead of taking the test, I took 2 to the chest.
Last day of the rest of my life. I wish I would have known, cause I didn't kiss my mama goodbye. I didn't tell her that I loved her, how much I care. Or thank my pops for all the talks and all the wisdom he shared. Unaware, I just did what I always do. Every day the same routine before I skate off to school. But who knew that this day wasn't like the rest? Instead of taking a test, I took 2 to the chest.
I started in this game. I love telling stories. I started more trying to rap than trying to rhyme. I always say trying, you know what I mean? Because I was having fun with it. But we knew, even when we did this song, we had the chorus and we finished the music, and then they gave me the music and said, okay, now go for it. So with Howard used to always get not frustrated with me, but he would always like, are you done with the lyrics? Are you finished? Because he wanted to know what my ideas were. And so, but a lot of these songs, they were always hearing it for the first time. And I still remember being in the studio and then, trying this and looking at their faces through the glass window. And even Howard was like, wow. And then even I remember Howard making a comment later in that studio, just saying that first line says it all. And I've learned a lot from Howard. You know what I mean? A lot of his encouragements, a lot of his kind of, pointing in direction. And I knew that first line had to be powerful, and it tells the story. It's not, there's no hidden messages here. There's no abstract things going on. It's just right to the point.
It's right to the point, but it's your delivery. It's how it's, I always say it's either it's believable or it's not. And, and I listen to this, I'm like, okay, this wasn't just some fluff somebody pulled out of the air. I believe this. I just love the delivery. I always, years ago, I would hear people talk about rappers, let's say, oh, it's just talking, it's just this and that. And I always be like, well, you do it then. Yeah. You go try to sound like Eminem or Dr. Dre or somebody, have fun trying. But, the drums drop into a more straight ahead groove here in the verse with bass drums and stereo guitars. The stereo guitars are now playing a slight variation of the intro. It's awesome. It's almost the same, but it's a variation. And this part is hypnotizing. It is absolutely perfect. And it's a loop for you to do your thing over. This part isn't really, really too crazy musically. The drums and the bass are locked, and the guitars are doing their thing. It's almost like a loop here. It's not taking away from what you're doing vocally or the story you're telling. And it sounds like the vocals are doubled here, the whole verse, except when you're joined by another set of vocals later, which I call feature lines on the second half that we'll get to. And I could probably guess, because I went through this with Howard, at some point you don't even know what you're doing. He's like, sing this again. You're like, okay, I just sang that 8 times, and you sing it again. Okay, now I want you to sing it in falsetto, but just this part.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, dude. But that's what I loved about Howard, because we came from that world where it was like, dude, just grimy, just get in there and do it. If it was up to us, we'd just have throw effect on it and let's just go through the whole song one taker, But with Howard, we were learning. And so we really did watch him. And he was the guy who taught us the structure of a song, because we came to him with 8-minute songs, and he just put us down to the basic roots. And you're exactly right. He would do a lot of that. He'd say, sing this and try this. And he really pushed me. And only because I felt comfortable with him was I allowed to do it. And I don't know, me and Howard always connected. There would be times too where if there was too many people in the room, he'd tell everybody, hey man, you guys go take a break, get out. I just want to work with Sonny, because he could sense like maybe I was nervous, maybe I was uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And so he would know certain things. And so I owe a lot to Howard. I learned a lot from him.
You just said something really struck a nerve with me. I've heard this a lot, and you have too. Oh, it's usually singers too. Like, he was in a bad mood. He wouldn't give me an autograph. He wouldn't look at me. I don't care if you're Madonna, Sonny from P.O.D, the dude from Less Than Jake. Yeah. We are self-conscious about our vocals. Okay,
100%.
I don't care who you are. Sometimes you need people to leave the room, and that's what the producer's for. He can sit there and be like, I'm, the referee, like.
For sure, man. I mean, we're all self-conscious. You hear your vocals. No one likes hearing their voice. And I mean, it's easy for someone who's got this gift from God vocal, and they can go in and, they sing every single day, right? Since they were 2, and they could draw a crowd. You know what I mean? But when we're going in there and it's more of a style, it's a passion, or you're reading your lyrics for the first time. And a lot of times, even now, like I'll sing it off the lyric page. But then once I learn it, after just because of, repeating it over and over, then I can finally put it down and then try to put the emotion and the passion into it. But it's hard to do that with when everybody's staring at you. What's he going to do? You're wondering are the guys really feeling this idea? Are they feeling these lyrics? It's a lot going on, man.
You said something else I don't think I've ever talked about in over 200 episodes of this songwriting podcast. But sometimes you'll be reading lyrics, and I've heard the guys in my band or a producer say, you sound robotic. You sound like you're reading them versus what you're saying, feeling them.
Call me blind, but I didn't see it coming. Everybody was running, but I couldn't hear nothing except gun blast. It happened so fast, I didn't really notice kid though I survived in class. Maybe this kid was reaching out for love, or maybe for a moment he forgot who he was, or maybe this kid just wanted to be hugged. Whatever it was, I know it's because
Call me blind, but I didn't see it coming. Everybody was running, but I couldn't hear nothing except gun blasts. It happened so fast, I didn't really know this kid, though I sit by him in class. Maybe this kid was reaching out for love, or maybe for a moment he forgot who he was, Or maybe this kid just wanted to be hugged. Whatever it was, I know it's because.
Yeah, and then it leads into the chorus. We are youth, a nation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's not making an excuse for what this kid did, but we have to try to understand his mind state, what he's going through, you know. And this this was 23 years ago. You know, it's more it's more relevant now, you know what I mean, with social media. And I always say this, you know, when we were kids, like, we never heard the word depression, you know what I mean, or anxiety, mental illness, all this stuff. But now we're finally talking about it. And, you know, obviously with the good that comes from modern technology, there's a lot of pitfalls and downfalls, and it sucks in the innocence of not only us as adults, but our kids.
Hey everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more coming up with Sonny Sandoval after a few words from our sponsors.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
Google is offering free AI training and tools to U.S. small businesses so they can innovate in ways both big and small. Built by Google experts, the Google AI Professional Certificate equips small businesses with practical AI skills. Through hands-on projects, they can start using AI to get more done and unlock new opportunities for their business. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at grow.google/business.
Have you ever wondered why songs on the radio are popular? Why do certain movies get made, even though the premise seems completely random? Why are concert tickets costing you $3,000, but nobody makes any money touring? Well, on my podcast, Breaking Down the Biz, we answer all those questions and more. I'm Seth Schackner. I have over 2 decades of experience in the entertainment and the music industry, and every week I talk to insiders that lend insight and expertise on the media you know and love, past, present, and future. Subscribe now on your favorite podcasting platform or watch us on YouTube so you never miss a beat. Let's make sense of this industry together.
The internet gives us a glimpse into the crazy happening all around us. Unhinged behavior, personal secrets, unbelievable coincidences. It's all one big circus, and the RR Show is your front row seat. Each week, we curate the wildest Reddit stories just for you. Whether you're into hilarious accidents, insane relationship drama, or pure chaos, these insane confessions are sure to make your jaw drop. Listen to the RR Show weekly on Mondays via your favorite podcast platform, or get your episodes early and ad-free by becoming a member. The RR Show. All of the drama, none of the hassle.
Hey friends, have you been loving Krista Makes a Podcast? Well, spread the love by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't hesitate to share what you enjoy about the show in an actual written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help more people discover us, but we often read reviews in the wrap segment of the show. It's a quick, cost-free way to support us and takes just a minute of your time. Your reviews mean the world to us and help us keep the podcast thriving. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for being a friend.
And now, back to the show.
This second half of verse 1, the guitar part changes to a higher pitched, super delayed atmospheric tone. Sounds like harmonics at times. It's awesome. And it really breaks up the first and second half of verse 1 to me.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't get monotonous. It changes just enough, but now it's like another guitar loop. This higher part's the same thing. It doesn't meander. And I love that. And I love it because I feel like it gives you a foundation to do your thing over vocally. It's really cool. The guitar tone really lets the bass breathe here on this second part. The higher pitch, the bass just seems like it got louder, but it's just the way the part is. And there's some cool drum syncopation happening on the back half of verse 1 as well. And the feature line, I think there's a word for this. My bass player said it recently. I call them feature lines in rap, where you really, I guess, maybe emphasizing lines, and it's on Gun Blast. It happened so fast. I didn't really know this kid, though I sit by him in class. I love it's a killer flow on those lines.
It changes up, yeah.
Nothing except Gun Blast. It happened so fast. I didn't really know this kid, though I survived in class. Maybe this kid was reaching out for love.
Do you recall that being talked about? Like, we want to really highlight this part. It's a hook.
Yeah, it's just because we were telling a story lyrically, you know, there's a lot of bars in there. And so it's just switching it up. It's just changing up the monotony of the flow. But everything you said, it's almost like Howard 101. You know, Howard, it's like we're just this song is the perfect example of constantly building. You know, it's not you're not giving it all away at once. You know, and a lot of times, like you said, then you double up on the vocal tracks. You know what I mean? You add certain things, and it's just the listener doesn't always know this, but since you're breaking it down, we're just constantly building. You know, and people do that. You know, they don't want to give it away. Sometimes you want to give the chorus away right at the beginning, but maybe only half of chorus, you know, not quite the harmonies yet. You know, you're just constantly building. And that, to me, that has always been like a Howard 101. And so the other thing we learned from him, and with stuff like this, Marcos is usually a busy guitar player, but certain songs call for less. You know, and less it really is more. There's not a lot of noodling, riffing going on. It's not about the guitar skills. It's about the story that's being told. And so everybody is complimenting the lyrics. You know what I mean? And it's giving the lyrics a place to live. And I don't know. To me, it's done quite nicely, if I do say so myself.
Hey, well, the proof is there. I mean, look what this song's not only done for your career, but how many people's lives it's touched, and just the YouTube, Spotify plays, which doesn't, you know, always make a great song, but that is darn impressive to me. 1 minute and 12 seconds. We're in chorus 1.
Because we are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. Little Susie, she was only.
We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. And on the second we are's, we get a call and response, which is you, Sonny, doing that. There's probably 4 or more unison vocals here on chorus 1. That tom drum intro is back, bass, stereo guitars, that sequencer, and a shaker panned off hard left. That sequencer here acts almost like a tambourine. You know, this song isn't really fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
And that sequencer makes this part move to me. It doesn't like sit back and get drony. It keeps moving forward with that sequencer. I think without that here, it's not the same thing. So I got to tip my hat to Howard there.
Yeah. And I totally hear exactly what you're saying, because those drums are taking you there. It's kind of like into this trance, and you kind of got this heartbeat tempo and this heartbeat flow, but then it's that sequencer that has to, it's just giving you a little bit more breathing room in there. It's moving you a little bit more. Usually
a hit song, when it breaks down to the tom part, it's after the bridge before the final chorus in the song. Okay.
The wall.
Every chorus in this song breaks down to a tom fill part. That in and of itself makes this track unique. I think that is awesome. The melody changes on the last time here on the we are. There's a slight melody change, and then on the last line, it's like a Nia Shun, like the way that you again, and I can kind of hear Howard. I was telling Chris beforehand, my producer, I could just hear him in the vocal booth saying to you, like, I need you to enunciate that better. I need that to be this, I need to be that, and that part, I've heard this song so many times, and when I got it under the microscope here, I said to myself, I could hear Howard right at that part. He was always like, you have to be crisper. But on that part, I think we were more, when we first had that chant, it was more, a gang vocal, kind of just this big anthem. And I want to say, even Howard, because he knew we had that reggae roots and reggae background, and it was kind of like he was always wanted us to be us, you know what I mean? And it would not just be so straight ahead and always give a little bit of us in everything we do. And I want to say it was my cousin Love at the time, because we were just more chanting like we are, and I think it was my cousin who recommended that we, do it that way, a nation, kind of like a more of that reggae patois, just to give it a little bit of P.O.D. spice, and it worked nice. No, it's so anthemic. It's just I don't know. There's just something uplifting about the way that part comes in. Verse 2 is right off of chorus 1, same basic instrumentation as verse 1, but we're joined by Howard here once again. Always has to get that B3 organ in. Yes. He gets that that B3 here. We'll tell the spots where he puts it in a second. That shaker from chorus 1 panned off left continues through.
Little Susie, she was only 12. She was given the world with every chance to excel. Hang with the boys and hear the stories they tell. She might act kind of proud but no respect for herself. She finds love in all the wrong places. The same situations, just different faces. Changed up her pace since her daddy left her. Too bad he never told her she deserved much better.
Little Susie, she was only 12. She was given the world with every chance to excel. Hang with the boys and hear the stories they tell. She might act kind of proud, but no respect for herself. She finds love in all the wrong places, the same situations, just different faces. Changed up her pace since her daddy left her. Too bad he never told her she deserved much better.
Yeah. I think in the first verse, we're kind of, we're explaining the shooter scenario, right? And what he's going to. We don't quite have a reason why. And then the second verse, we're breaking down from the young girl side to the young boy side, and just creating a situation of why. Not that there's ever any reason or excuse for what's happening, but it's trying to have empathy for what this kid is going through, right? It's not like one day this happy-go-lucky kid woke up and decided, I'm going to do something, a horrible thing. And again, there's no excuse, but it's also being empathetic to everything that our kids are going through. And so even these kids, it's not like they're all going to go out and commit this, tragedy, but all these kids are going through something that's going to lead them to somewhere. It might not be, shooting in a school, but it's leading to depression now. It's leading to, this anxiety and suicide. The suicide rate in kids is up higher than it's ever been, especially
I know.
in young girls. And it all comes from someplace. It's not just made up. So this is describing a female who's is looking for love, and it could be broken home, it could be no father figure in the house, it could be all these different things of why she acts out and is maybe sexually promiscuous, and she's looking for attention, looking for love. And so it's just, again, trying to say there's reasons why these kids are acting the way they are.
You kind of addressed this a little bit ago, that you were still, up at the mic, like still working on lyrics. Do you remember rewrites in this song? And my issue with a story like this, and I'm not this kind of a lyricist, is I want to put too much of the story in. I don't know when to stop. You gotta get the part. You gotta get the part of the post office in here. We can't leave that out. Like,
yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is how did you know that this is the story? Like, this is enough for this particular song?
And we go into a third verse, which is crazy because I don't even think that the third verse was originally planned, but I think that might have even been another Howard thing where it's like, hey, okay, you're telling two stories here. We have to have a wrap up. Epilogue. We have to close this thing, and that's why it's only half as short, because we knew. But I had all of those bars to set the tone. So it's like, it's not like, again, you only have 20 words to kind of tell the story. It's like, no, I had plenty of time to get the point across. You know what I mean? So it's. Yeah, and when you're rapping, you get to throw in a lot of words in there. Whereas maybe if you're just singing like a melody line, it's only a handful of words.
Yeah, you do get a lot in here, and I went back to the time period. I watched you guys on late night, like maybe Craig Kilborn, and a couple other things I saw you on, and you did a great job. But man, it's a lot, and I say you did a great job. We construct these songs as vocalists in the studio. Yeah. Okay. In the back of our mind, we're like, yeah, we got to sing it, I know, live sometime, but we'll get to that. And then you do it, you're like, you're out of breath you're not even halfway through the first verse.
Yeah. Well, then back then it was so new, and you're excited, and I even seen like a clip came on Instagram, and I'm like, man, I sure did move a lot on that mellow song, but I'm so used to moving that it's like I didn't even know how to act during this, this like kind of serious mellow song, and I look back and I'm like, what was I doing, but yeah.
Yeah, when you're used to rocking out for an hour, like balls out, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, this is a little different groove.
Yeah,
for
now
us.
I know this is our where we take a break and kind of relax in the set,
Yeah. Well, we mentioned Howard, that organ. After 12, we get a flourish, panned off to the right. After tell, we get another Howard. But there's a Howard hangover there. This one is longer. The part it's a hit, but then there's this weird delay swirl that happens with that hit. We get another hit on Places, and one after Daddy Left Her. We get a Howard flourish on that B3 organ, but it does not come in the second half. No more organ. Howard pulled out. I can't believe the restraint there.
Yeah. Well, didn't Marcos come back in right there? There's something.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. So halfway through, there's no more organ stabs on the back half. You're correct.
Much better. Johnny Boy always played the fool. He broke all the rules so you would think he was cool. He was never really one of the guys, no matter how hard he tried, up the thought of suicide. It's kind of hard when you ain't got no friends. He put his life to an end, they might remember him then. You cross the line and there's no turning back. Told the world how he felt with the sound of a gat.
Johnny Boy always played the fool. He broke all the rules, so you would think he was cool. He was never really one of the guys, no matter how hard he tried, often thought of suicide. It's kind of hard when you ain't got no friends. He put his life to an end. They might remember him then. You cross the line and there's no turning back. Told the world how he felt with the sound of a gat. And Sonny, in the same placement as verse 1, about 3/4 through, the feature line this time is, he was never really one of the guys, no matter how hard he tried, often thought of suicide. Yeah. I love the placement. Why overthink it, right? If we're going to put it in again, it's got to be in the same spot.
Yeah, it's just kind of, we're it's kind of in a pattern now, you know what I mean? Because we're trying to, you're trying to create a familiarity to the listener, and it's like, okay, but again, because there's so many bars, we're telling a story. It's kind of just like that little change up again, just saying we're almost there.
Right, and we finally are talking about the gun now at the end of verse 2. You've addressed that. We're into chorus 2 now. Same basic instrumentation and lyrics as chorus 1, and then we get into one of the coolest parts of the song is the bridge of this tune. It's an amazing departure. The drums go to almost like a jazzy feel. They're not super in your face. This whole part is 16 bars. Bass, guitar is in along with stereo guitars. And they are playing a new melody with a new guitar tone. And this song to me, I've said this a million times of great productions and great songs on this show. I'll say it only sounds dated to me, the production, because I know when the song was created. I know how old it is. If there's one sound in this whole track that sounds like a late 90s, early 2000s sound, it's that guitar flange part of just this bridge. That kind of time stamps it from that area, but the lick is super cool. And there are keys on all the chord changes here, and a new keyboard sound that comes in here. It's almost the keyboard sound here reminds me of Styx or something. It's got like the 70s. Nice. And I never thought about it, and I'm sitting here listening the past 2 nights of this song over and over again. And that every time the bridge comes, I'm like, that's funny. Howard and that damn keyboard,
he's that
B3. Here he is again, but the part is awesome. What'd you guys think of this bridge and how, bridges are supposed to be a departure. They're supposed to give you a breath. This part is really unique.
Right. Big shout out to Styx. I actually seen them a few months or maybe at the end of last year, dude. It was really, really awesome.
I love Styx. I didn't mean that as a diss. It's just
No, heck yeah. Well, it's like I said with Howard, he's constantly building, and he did throw a lot of his organ in there and his keys in there, but this wasn't a heavy track, so we were a lot more comfortable with having the keyboards and the organ and a lot more sounds because we knew this was going to be a big production. It's not like if we were heavy, chugging through the bridge, we would have said take the keys out, but it doesn't mix.
And not taking anything against Howard, but you guys can go out and play this live without the keys and it's the same song,
right? And it's the same song.
They're just flourishes, and what he has done here to me is brilliant.
Yes, what in Howard was great at that is he put it's almost like you have the carpet and then Howard put that soft little foamy stuff underneath the carpet, you know what I mean? Just to make it a little bit more cushiony, for your feet. And he always did that. And that's how I think he was able to train us to be like, yeah, Howard, I like that. To keep that in there. Because he wasn't dominating the part. He was just lifting it. He was always lifting up our parts. And we love that about Howard.
That's such a great take on it. I as a younger person, a lot of us as musicians, we just can't deal with someone telling us, or work it, like change this lyric. It's like, what are you talking about? Get out of the room. Yeah. Like I've been doing this for 6 years, pal. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No matter what you say, it don't take away the pain that I feel inside. I'm tired of all the lies. Don't nobody know why. It's the blind leading the blind. Guess that's the way that the story goes. Will it ever make sense? Somebody's gotta know. There's gotta be more to life than this. There's gotta be more to everything I thought exists.
Who's to blame for the lives that tragedies claim? No matter what you say, it don't take away the pain that I feel inside. I'm tired of all the lies. Don't nobody know why. It's the blind leading the blind. I guess that's the way that the story goes. Will it ever make sense? Somebody's got to know. There's got to be more to life than this. There's got to be more to everything I thought exists. And I got to ask you, was there ever a conversation of, don't nobody know why? I mean, that's technically not correct, but when you're rapping or when you're talking, there's sometimes when that has to be the lyric, and you'll go and try to fix it. I've done this too, where I try to go in and like, well, you can't say don't. Well, nobody realizes why.
It's like, that's not correct. No, I mean, that's in a lot. I mean, because when I'm writing lyrics, obviously there's songs that are just straight ahead, but when I'm telling a story or I want it to feel like I'm actually speaking with you and having a conversation. It's like, what we're slang, we're talking street, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be correct.
We have a joke in my band when that happens. It's like, hey man, I can't get no satisfaction.
Yeah, okay, exactly. There you go.
One of the biggest songs ever. Don't tell me about my lyrics.
Yeah. But if it's Mick Jagger, you're not going to question it.
That's right. What were you trying to say here with verse 3 as a wrap up to the other two verses? Again,
I think it's just leading. So we have the story now, and it's posing the question again. What's going on? What is the solution? This isn't the way it's supposed to be. This is not right. And then again, being a man of faith. To me, I'm always going to reference, according to my faith, that, and I've been very open, where it's like, man, we live in a crazy world, but I still, in my faith, believe that God is good and God loves us, and He's not okay with all these things that are happening. It's not the way it's supposed to be, But so it's just trying to, again, lead the listener into taking a moment to pause and saying, okay, it's right. It's not supposed to be like this. So what is our purpose? What is our reason for living? Why are we supposed to do what is right? Why should we try and do what's good? So it's leaving it open-ended without saying this is the way it is. We learned when we were more punk rock as kids, I think we were more in your face with a lot of things. And as we learned and to be more universal in our music, and for every listener, it's just always asking the question and saying, what is your life about? How do you identify? What's going on? Is this real or is this not real? And for me, I think I've always just kind of pointed to the eternal, like, in saying, hey man, it's whether you believe or not, it's just, what is the eternal? I've always been kind of fascinated with the eternal. And so it's just a conversation. It's not saying I'm right, you're wrong. It's just saying, let's talk about it. And so if this life is temporary and it's short, is there an eternal? Is this all we have? I don't know. I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Yeah. Well, if you and I end up upstairs together and we find out that Eternal's just Howard and his organ, I'm going to have a huge issue with this.
Howard's going to be at the gates welcoming everybody in.
Yeah. I got a new sequencer part. Check this out, guys. Oh.
Yeah. In white sweats.
leaving nothing to the imagination. Yeah. Verse 3, there's two lines in here that are prophetic to me. I guess that's the way the story goes. Will it ever make sense? Somebody's got to know. You're speaking of will it ever make sense of what happened past tense here, but that line to me now of what you said a little bit ago, I mean, it's still going on now, probably louder than ever. It's such a shame. Again, half verse here, same overall instrumentation as the verses, but here we have a few really cool things. The shaker is panned off left in this verse through the whole thing, comes back in here, and there are these swirling, like howling vocals that come in here. They're very, very subtle. They're really cool. And the stereo guitars are now playing a combo of those verse riffs from before, starting out with the higher riff that was initially used for the back half of verse 1 and verse 2, and then the lower guitar part from the first half of verse 1 and 2. It's so killer how he changed it up there. Yeah. It's so great. Yeah, it's such a simple idea. It's like, hey, let's just take these two parts and put them together because we only got a half verse, but it's genius.
Yeah. And as soon as we kick in there now, it's that outro big chorus, like we're leading somewhere. And we always reference, that even with the kids, that kind of like, Pink Floyd, The Wall, like we knew, okay, those are huge songs, anthems. And as we were building this song, we knew we wanted that feel. We had it with the drums, we had it with the guitars, and we knew we had it with the kids, so we're like, okay, let's just take this, let's ride this one all the way out and make it huge.
I'll tell you, I wrote again here in the notes. I wrote great songwriting at that point of the guitars. That's just, it's so cool. Again, it's not reinventing the world. It's pretty simple. Hey, let's just take these two parts, but it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Awesome. There's a word here I wrote again. There's a second enunciation point. Okay, exists isn't an easy word to sing. Exists. There's a lot of S, and you really enunciate that word. And that was another one in the song. I went, I could see Howard jumping his hind.
Yeah. Sing it again.
Yeah, sing it. I can't hear the S. All right, well, the drums come back in. It's the Tom fill part. That drum hook comes back in for chorus 3. That sequencer, Howard's sequencer is here, and the kids' choir only.
Everything I thought exists. We are. The youth of the nation. We are. Youth of the nation. We are. The youth of the nation. We are. Youth of the nation.
So moving, man.
Yeah.
So moving. It's the perfect song. And that at the top, I said those kids at the start of the tune, it's foreshadowing that you're going to hear them later. It's a goosebump moment. Absolutely love it. So yeah, this particular chorus, on the back half, we get a couple more we are's from you, Sonny, that are kind of different than we had before. On the second half here of this first chorus part, the bass and stereo guitars come back in along with the sequencer and the kids choir. This chorus 3 is like 3.5 full choruses, but after this full stanza, now everything comes back in. Seems to be more effect on the stereo guitars, or another guitar comes in here. I couldn't really tell at the end here. It sounds like a wah pedal and maybe some flanger on the guitar. It's subtle, but it's really cool, and I love where it sits in the mix. We don't really get it till the very outro where you're really hearing that wah and that effect on the guitar. But I love where it sits in the mix there. All the call and responses are you on this part. After all the we are's, there's a new youth of the nation. This vocal is a new placement and a new melody here at the end that comes in at the very tags of each one.
That's right.
We are the youth of the nation. And then the youth of the nation, you say it again. And if you remember, I wanted to ask you about that part. Was that just because we're kind of at the end here? We want to do kitchen sink, as you said, the song's building, but it's different. It really makes this stand out. It changes the feel of the chorus.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I would give that credit to Howard. Now I want to go back and like dissect it. But a lot of times, once you got comfortable with singing it, a lot of times, and we wanted to do it ourselves too. Like I hate now that back then, it was a no-no to just cut and paste. You know what I mean? It's like for us, we're not doing that. And now everybody's like cutting, you can finish a song in 2 minutes now. But back then, even with Howard, it'd be like, let's just not freestyle, but let's just go. You just sing it until you love it. Sing it until you feel it, sing it till your heart's into it. And so Howard, he'd have a million tracks, man. And it was like, he had to go through them all, you know what I mean? So who knows, knowing Howard, he probably would go through that. And he's like, I love that one, and I'm going to save it for the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
just Howard.
That's probably what happened, and who knows? Maybe you could have come in and he was like, "Hey, he just flew it in those spots." And you're like, "Whoa, we never."
Yeah. When did that happen?
That's what freaked me out with him the first time we did a Pro Tools record. I'd come in the next day, I'd be like, I didn't sing that there, but it sounds cool.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about this? And you're like, and he would do that with us too. Be like, okay, but because then I would say, okay, but I have to sing it, dude. Like, you can't just fly that in there. Like, let's figure it out, So that's so cool.
I know, it's crazy. Well, this section I love because, you're doing the call and responses, but now we're getting the kids and you on this part, which is great. So chorus 3 starts out with the kids by themselves, and then we get you coming in with them. And then on the very end tag here of the song, the outro, the kids choir is out. That wah flange guitar is now very prominent. This is almost like a coda that's stuck on here. And we get a final "We Are" from Sonny, and then Youth of the Nation. We are Youth of the Nation. We are Youth of the Nation. And then a very low "We Are."
Yeah.
The note changes there because it tugs at your heartstrings. The way you went up, it's awesome. And that is over that delayed flange guitar. And that's the last thing you hear. It sounds like something from Lost in Space.
Yeah.
Man, what a song. And thank you so much for breaking it down with me. I really enjoyed it. Your new album, Veritas?
It's Veritas. Yeah, we call it Veritas.
Veritas. Says in the press release, it has you guys going back to basics. Talk about that a little bit.
I mean, I don't think it was ever intentional. You know what I mean? I just think during COVID and all the stuff that was going on in writing this record, it was a different process for us. Our bass player had just moved to Nashville right before COVID. There was a lot of internal stuff going on, and we're used to all sitting in a room, looking at each other and writing. Nowadays bands don't have to do that. They just send over files and all of a sudden you're done. Do my part, do your part, we're done. But we've always done it together, and this time, really just start by Marcos and I driving up to LA, spending a day with the producers up there and just piecing stuff together. And with technology, you can build drums right there now on your computer. You can add loops to keep the backbeat. It's a whole different thing, and that's a whole different discussion. But for us, it was just piecing stuff together, and we were really just doing song by song. Normally in talking about Howard, we'd write 15, 18 songs and then go to the studio or spend 2 weeks playing it for him and showing it to him, and, so he can wrap his head around it and then go in the studio and laying it down. This time was different because we were just doing song by song and piecing it together. And P.O.D.'s known to have all kinds of different spices and flavors, but this one, it was more like this. It's just a meat and potatoes kind of album, which I think we need because, in our 32 years in this certain genre of music, we might have been too spicy, you know what I mean? At times, we might have had too much flavor here and there that wasn't for your meat and potatoes kind of consumer. And so, again, nothing was intentional. I think by the time we just finished, it was like, you know what? This album is just kind of rocking all the way through. And it was like, we're good with that. There's, we don't need to do a certain punk song or a certain reggae song or, any Latin feel stuff. We're like, you know what? It's just meat and potatoes, rock and roll, and we're good with that. And we needed this record right now.
I love that. Well, there's been 3 music videos, singles released from the new record. I Won't Bow Down, Drop, featuring Randy from Lamb of God, and Afraid to Die, featuring Tatiana from Ginger. And you just announced a 2024 U.S. headlining tour, April all the way through June, with support from Bad Wolves, Norma Jean, and Blind Channel. So go check out P.O.D. You're going to be in Vegas when I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there out giving tours at the Punk Rock Museum, May 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So
I saw that. That's awesome, bro.
I think you guys are out there, so I will come look for you. But thank you so much for sitting in with us.
Oh, brother, it's so good to see you, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
We ain't afraid to die. We ain't afraid of life. If the world is gonna end, you know that I'm bringing all my friends to us. We ain't afraid to die. I learned a long time ago, life is a gift that I'll be giving.
That Sonny is a heck of a guy, and the song you're hearing underneath me right now is Afraid to Die from P.O.D.'s new album, Veritas. So make sure you check that out, and don't go anywhere. We got lots more Chris DeMakes a Podcast coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
Hey there, Chris DeMakes a Podcast listeners. Ready to take your podcast experience to the next level? By signing up for the supporting cast at DeMakes.com, you not only ensure the continued production of our show, but also unlock exclusive perks. Subscribers receive a weekly bonus episode of our other podcast, The After Party, co-hosted by Chris Fafalius and myself. Many fans rave that The After Party is just as enjoyable as the main show. And with close to 200 music-centric episodes in the archive, there's a treasure trove of entertainment awaiting you. Thank you for tuning in and for your support in keeping the podcast going strong. Join us at DeMakes.com and let's keep the fun conversations going.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is New England alt-rock band Mighty Tortuga. They are self-described mall, emo era, and 90s alternative rock, and they've just released their self-titled album. Here's a snippet of their song, Through Your Teeth.
Useless interpretation, nothing's clear. I'll believe it when I see it next. Stand and shiver at the truth around the bend. Sigh and smile upon the errors left. You'll starve yourself to death.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
So, Chris, usually this is Chris DeMakes a Podcast, but today it was Chris DeMakes a P.O.D. cast.
I like it.
I can't believe nobody thought to say that.
No,
right now.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up. I did not think to say that. I thought you were going to say that this episode had more to do with Howard Benson than anything else, which we did talk about Howard a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of Howard Benson talk. It seems like Howard Benson has some things that he likes to do in songs. There's kind of a through line. Who did we have last time? Oh, when we did All-American Rejects, there was also a children's choir on that song.
Yeah. If you get Howard around, he doesn't care if he produces a death metal record. He's going to get either a children's choir or his B3 organ somewhere on that song.
Yeah, he got both of them in on this one. And hey, I also thought it was pretty interesting. Another Chris DeMakes a Podcast through line is that recently we had Jacoby from Papa Roach on to talk about Last Resort. Today, Sonny talking about Youth of the Nation. They're both songs from roughly the same time.
Yeah.
And they're both kind of addressing, the way that kids and people in general were feeling at the time. I mean, not that they don't still feel that way today, but they're both heavy rock super hits of the era that addressed sort of similar subject matter.
Yeah, and it just sounds like all the pieces for this song kind of just, came out of thin air. Here they are sitting at their rehearsal spot with Howard, and this stuff's coming on the news. It inspired them. They wanted to write about it. And, all the time there's tragedies. There's things that happen that people write about, and they don't end up being monster hits, but it seems like all the right ingredients were at the right place, right time here.
Yeah, and I love to see a song with a positive message, a message of hope that comes out of a tragic situation, to be inspired by something and just try to spread positivity at a time when people really need it,
For sure. Yeah. And, the other thing I thought that was really, really cool was that, those little spots where I'm like, did Howard say this? And Sonny would get a smile on his face. He's like, yeah, he would do that because, that's kind of his MO, but he pushes you. And Sonny seemed really receptive towards that, and I always, that I'm a sucker for that. I love to see that, when people want to learn and better themselves. And if it's at the hand of a producer, so be it.
Right. And I know that our listeners can't see these episodes, but you're right. He was smiling the whole time. He knew that you knew all about Howard, and you did pick up on a lot of things where he was like, oh man, I know exactly what you're talking about. He was laughing, having a great time. He'd also mentioned something in this episode. Do you remember the moment? Was it Hello Rockview for you? Would that have been the album where you went from recording songs I'm just going to do a pass through this whole song to doing oh, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We're going line by line if we need to, maybe a couple lines. Or did you start to do that maybe a little bit on losing streak.
No, it was Hello Rockview. I mean, that was the record Roger and I both learned how to really sing because we had to once we heard it put together. But he would have us go in there, and I touched on this in the main episode with Sonny today. He would have me go in there and say, hey, can you just try something for me? I'm like, oh, he just wants to hear what this sounds like. But go up an octave falsetto. I'd be like, wah! He's like, okay, can you try it again for me? And unbeknownst to me, he was looking for 2 takes. He was going to double the falsetto part, and he was going to tuck it super tucked in the mix where you couldn't hear it, you could feel it. So it was little tricks like that I didn't understand the kind of mad scientist stuff that was going on till later.
Yeah, it's what great producers do, right? I mean, recently when we had Local Natives on, they were talking about the producer that they worked with, Sean Everett, was doing stuff like that. I don't know if he was doing it so much with vocals, but in that instance, they were talking about things like in the room when they were playing, little things that would happen. They might be happening the whole time on one track, but he's taking little pieces. It's the same sort of thing you're saying that Howard does with the vocals. He's taking little pieces. He's realizing what he needs. He's filling in the blanks, and he's creating musical masterpieces from that.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else that I thought was really awesome was that Sonny was just like straight up like, yeah, we kind of all knew that this was a monster. They had already had success with the previous record. They were on MTV. Things were happening. They were getting on great tours and whatnot. And it's cool to, if you know, you know. I mean, but most of the time people are like, nah, we knew it was a good song, but we didn't, no one knows what a hit is. And they kind of felt that they knew they had a monster on their hands here.
Well, they knew they had the right people working on it for sure. They had an amazing producer. They had Chris Lord-Alge mixing it. They had this anthemic. I mean, there were a lot of hits on this album.
Yeah.
Alive. We could have easily talked about Alive.
Sure.
Today. That's another huge chorus.
Mm-hmm.
That thing just soars. And listening back, I know you tried to get into a little bit with him, Chris, talking about listening back on your Discman or something, like what it sounded like. But yeah, I think any of us would know listening back. If we didn't know who P.O.D. was and someone said, listen to this, you think it's going to be a hit? I think we'd all be like, yeah, obviously.
Absolutely. What a great episode. Want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in each week and listening. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Thanks for everybody who's part of our supporting cast. Head over to ChrisDeMakes.com where you can get bonus episodes of the after party from Chris and I. Yes, there's more fun than just the main episode here each week. ChrisDeMakes.com. Go check it out. Anything to add with that, Chris?
Hey, your support helps us keep making this podcast. It really means a lot to us. It's a couple bucks a month. We give you lots of bonus episodes in exchange for a couple bucks a month, but it really goes a long way, and it helps keep the lights on over here at Chris DeMakes a Podcast.
That's right. And if you haven't joined the Chris DeMakes a Podcast Facebook page or given us a follow on Instagram at Chris DeMakes a Podcast, we'd appreciate it. And I want to thank this week's guest, Mr. Sonny Sandoval, for sitting in with us, and we'll see you next week.
One Hit Thunder is a podcast where we both celebrate and have a good laugh about bands and artists that had just one hit that we all know. Each week, we're joined by a guest from the world of music or comedy to learn more than you ever thought you would about some songs that you can't forget. And we decide if they brought the One Hit Thunder or were nothing more than a one-hit blunder. Look, if you listen to the show, you're probably going to laugh, and I guarantee you're going to crush next time the bar has music trivia. Tag Team, Jane Child, Meredith Brooks, Looking Glass, Sean Mullins, Eiffel 65, EMF, Crash Test Dummies, Crazy Town, Chumbawamba. We have hundreds of episodes in our back catalog and a new episode each week, so pass the Dutchie, make sure you're connected, and subscribe to One Hit Thunder wherever you get your pods.
Hi, I'm Alex Goldman. You may know me as the host of Reply All, but I'm done with that. I'm doing something else now. I've started a new podcast called Hyperfixed. On every episode of Hyperfixed, listeners write in with their problems, and I try to solve them. Some massive and life-altering, and some so minuscule it'll boggle your mind. No matter the problem, no matter the size, I'm here for you. That's Hyperfixed, the new podcast from Radiotopia. Find it wherever you listen to podcasts or at hyperfixedpod.com.